Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. So today I'm gonna be talking about ambitious Tywin and what I think about him. This morning I saw a video, and without really like processing everything that's happening on screen, because it was in Korean and I don't understand it, I was like, whoa, he looks so good, he's OP and stuff. But then now that it's evening, I had the day to digest it and then re-looked at the video, and I have, I think, a more unbiased or more, I would guess, critical thoughts on ML Tywin here. First things first, you notice that he is a knight, of course, light elemental, and he's a Sagittarius, so that is the same as ML Cecilia. I do find that kind of interesting though. They're running two knights side by side, both Sagittarius. I'm gonna say this right now, what I think of ML Tywin in summary compared to ML Cecilia. ML Cecilia is the stronger ML, I feel, in more PvP situations. I kind of do see that all the new heroes that they're releasing, they're very careful in mind to have any 5-star base hero, whether RGB or ML. They have them kind of tuned to be usable in PvP, and I think specifically RTA or World Arena. I think they're really trying to push it. So a lot of the kit here I think will be usable in RTA, but I have a lot of doubts in my mind right now. I was thinking about builds and where I would use him and what would happen in RTA if you did use him. It's going to be kind of weird. So anyways, let's go through the slides that I have prepared here. I'm gonna go, so these are the stats as you see. This is actually reflecting the maxed 6-star awakened stats. So this is not really reflecting what's on the screen. On the screen you do see a 5-star there, and it doesn't have the awakening filled in stars, but this is the stats on the left side is actually reflecting that, so I had to double check. So 104 speed, pretty fast for a knight. Okay, not as fast as some other knights, but it's okay. Health is really good, 6,800. 894 attack. Defense is 694, which is really high. No addition to effectiveness, effect resistance, critical hit chance, or critical hit damage. Okay, fair enough. Your imprint release, you got a 2-slot forward and back, 12.9% health to your teammates, and then imprint concentration is 18% health to himself. Now, we do see that his actual skills are scaling off HP. So again, we got another HP scaling bruiser. But now that I've seen Alencia actually be released and then seeing the mods on her, I can see how big a difference the attack mod is, and I'm pretty sure everybody has seen it. So in light of Alencia's release, in light of actually experiencing what a 0.5 attack scaling mod looks like on top of like a decent HP scaling mod, I've seen like Alencia's with like decent attack with like 23,000 HP, and she just does not compare in terms of, like, let's say ML Ravi, which I get their purpose is a damage dealer, or a Ken. So I'm kind of on the fence on ML Tywin being like a very strong HP scaling damage dealer. Now, if he shares similar mods to ML Cecilia, I would say that that's a lot more usable, and I do think that his kit can merit a higher amount of damage. Again, comparing to Alencia, even though she is a RGB unit, comparing to Alencia's kit is overloaded in terms of like usability, full strips, defense buffs, and then defense break on top of an additional attack, increased effectiveness, effect resistance. With that in mind, I kind of agree that, okay, yeah, she could be a bit weaker, because she's really there to kind of support. For ML Tywin though, I kind of see him being used in two, like his kit I feel is split. I'll explain that once I go through the kit here. This is the S3. S3 is flash, acquires 3 souls, so that's pretty good, and then a 5-turn cooldown. At a +4 mole, you get that -1 turn cooldown. If you do use 10 souls, it decreases this cooldown by 2 turns, so that's exactly the same as ML Cecilia, except that I don't think his S3 is as potent as ML Cecilia's usefulness. Skill null, I mean, come on, that's just really good, and it does a lot of damage. So if ML Tywin can do the exact same amount of damage, at least, as ML Cecilia, then I would say that his S3 has something to go for. The problem is that his S3 doesn't even grant you 100% speed or unhealable for 2 turns, but rather it grants up to 80%, and that is a Mola up to +5. All right, +5 on the S3, up to 80% chance to decrease the speed and unhealable for 2 turns, each having their own role. So if you get unlucky, you don't roll one or the other. So you're kind of throwing a mixed bag of debuffs, and you can't really, it's not like a provoking debuff when you're like strategically trying to like provoke one hero. You can't have that much control on this, and especially it's at 80%, that 20% chance on a 20% chance not to proc plus a 15% chance for them to resist 100% is just too much RNG for me to feel that the S3 is worth it unless it has a high damage mod. But we'll have to see what it looks like. In terms of the damage dealt, we can see that it has 10, 15, 30% damage dealt on the S3. That's actually not that bad, but Alencia shares the same 30%, but if your mods are low, no amount of Mola feeding to the skill will get you more damage. So hopefully, I think the only saving grace for him would be that he has at least ML Cecilia's damage scale. This is the S2, it's a passive, and they ignore the icon on the top left there. It's in a box, but it's a passive. It does not have a cooldown. It has up to 100% chance to dispel 1 debuff from all allies if you do Mola this to +4, of course. When the caster is debuffed after being attacked, and can only activate once per turn. Now, a couple of us on stream were just discussing what does this mean, but it kind of reads like Crimson Seed. So this would mean most likely on his turn. So because of that fact, if you want to use him as this kind of AoE passive dispeller, and keep in mind it is 1 debuff, okay, 1 debuff. If you want to use him as like this passive AoE dispeller, cleanser, you kind of gotta run him really fast in order for this to be even usable. Now there's another problem here, and this is where I'm kind of like feeling like, oh, his kit is kind of weird. I'm kind of like building all my heroes, especially with RTA in Light or World Arena. I'm kind of building them all with high, like with immunity set, but with high resistance. Now, if you build him with high resistance, that causes a problem. The way it's worded here is only after he gets debuffed after he's being attacked. So the debuff one can't be a soft debuff. It can't be something like specialty change Ricorous. I don't think it works. His stun. It can't be a Falcon or Cleary. It does not work that way. He has to actually be attacked first. So it has to be a debuff that comes with an attack beforehand, which is kind of weird. And then so if he resists it, he doesn't cleanse it, right? So you can imagine the scenario where the 15% effect resistant kicks in, and he doesn't get debuffed, but all your other heroes do. So that becomes a big problem, even if it's 100%. And then keep in mind, it is 1 dispel. Again, I'm reiterating this because I'm trying to emphasize the fact that this is not actually as broken of a skill as it can be, but it's nice to have, I suppose. So yes, you can't build them on resistance. You have to hope that they don't, you know, your RNG doesn't kick in and he actually resists it. That's probably the only time I would say I don't want him to resist, because him resisting it would mean detriment to the rest of your team, which is kind of weird. So that's my thoughts on that one. So that's kind of weird. Now the S1 I think would be probably the only saving grace. If you have an Elber's Ritual Sword on him, his S1 would be really good for RTA, but then keep in mind that Assassin Sid has a different type of benefit. They both share the same sort of mechanic. Assassin Sid, of course, is on the S3, so he does take more souls away from the enemy. If I remember correctly, he takes a full 10 souls, so a full flame. He only removes 4 souls. So if someone does have a Togglehole's Ancient Book, let's say they're running an Oxalot with a plus 30 Togglehole's Ancient Book, and they're running a Eufine for a Eufine, what do you call it? Wait, actually, does she take 20 souls? Actually, I think she does take 20 souls, right? I think so. She just gets another turn, so I think it is 20 souls. Anyways, I was thinking about an example where that might not even be that bad. So for example, like let's say Oxalot into BBK, all right? That's 10 souls. So if you have a plus 30 Togglehole's Ancient Book, he does somehow remove it. Somehow, if he can beat Oxalot on the turn, he can remove that soul. It's not really gonna help there. 4 souls is nice. Elbrus will help you remove 4 souls every time the Elbrus procs, every time he does the S1. So, you know, some people are saying that, well, does he go on counter set? Maybe. The other aspect to his S1 is that he has a 75% chance to provoke. 75% chance to provoke is very standard in terms of a knight. So Krau has the same, Ciarman has the same, General Purgus has the same, although he's not a knight. But I'm just going for like mainstream provokers. ML Cecilia, of course, in this case still wins in my opinion. RTA, when you can control, wait, what? Assassin takes 20 souls. Oh, okay, no, that's way different. That's leagues different. Oh, thank you for the stream chat for reminding me. And the Mipple says Yufine needs 20 souls. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. It's a dual turn, so usually it is costly. So in this case, a lot of people were saying that, okay, because he could remove the soul, then maybe he get to provoke. Maybe he put him on a counter. But again, see, this is the problem. If you put him on a counter, and then he might not be fast enough to get the turns to dispel. So I feel like in whatever way you build him, you're not gonna fully utilize all 3 skills at the same time, which is not the same as like ML Cecilia. See, ML Cecilia, like she has the barrier passive, skill null is just good, right? Just good in general, and then you have a provoke at a 100% rate. So if you have I would say that the provoke part for a counter set is kind of odd, because, you know, if they're going to attack you anyways, they're going to attack you, so why even provoke them into you? But the Elbrus provoke is very, very useful. So I think on a default, his artifact would be Elbrus. I don't see any benefit from him using any other artifact, knight artifact specifically. Maybe he could use some other artifacts that are not knight exclusive, but knight exclusive artifact, I think Elbrus is the only one going for him. And again, because it's such a weird, like, I don't know, weird chemistry between the S3, S2, and then the S1, I feel that he's kind of underwhelming for me. So if you compare both knights, ML Cecilia and him back to back, I say ML Cecilia is probably the better choice in my opinion. Just put Elbrus on him and he'll counter. No, that's the problem. Like, it depends on the so I'm addressing Zero's comment. It depends on the team comp you run him with. Like, if you're kind of safe and secure, what you could do is just try to kill him off, or you go in with a team that doesn't really require souls. I don't know. There's a lot of things. So I don't think I just feel like his kit is kind of like splitting him into 2, so no matter how you build him, you're gonna end up not being really satisfied. Like, he's not gonna be utilizing it. And again, my key thing is that although the S2 sounds like it's very good, I don't think so. In the video that I'm pulling these screenshots from, they show that Green Bazaar hits him and hits all the heroes, and it puts unbuffable on him, and he dispels it right away. Yes, okay, in one instance in that video, right? But that's a video, and you know, you don't want to be like, oh, you know, he's gonna be countering Bazaars all day long. But like I said, the scenario is, if you run into a Bazaar team and he doesn't get debuffed, but all your other heroes get debuffed, you're screwed. You're really screwed. So he's not, even if people are saying that, you know, he's gonna be like counter to this hero, counter to this hero, the problem is if he doesn't get debuffed, right? I can't even tell you how many times my ML Zerato, although I want him to be debuffed, he just resists it, because that 15% can come up a lot more than you want it to. So in my opinion, that's where his major flaw is. Now, of course, ML Tywin, because of how he is right now, and it does depend on his damage mod, I do think that he could use potentially some sort of buff or some sort of rework, especially around that S2. I think that S2 can definitely be tuned a bit where it's not too OP, but then it's not like this weird. Because if it is based on the hit, I just don't know, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. If he could resist it, he's pretty screwed. What is Tywin's imprint? Tywin's imprint is a HP. HP on allies 2 slots, and HP on himself. Anyways, I think let me read the stream chat a bit just to get some thoughts here. He's too conditional, to be honest, to work effectively. Depends on the enemy team instead of setting himself up. Says Afri Christ. Yeah, that's my problem. So you generally when you're going into any fight, you don't want to add more RNG on top of yourself. You want more controllable fights, like a skill that would do exactly what you need when you need it. Relying on a skill that has RNG is a very big no-no in terms of any sort of PvP. But yeah, I would say that's his biggest flaw. The S1 I have no problem with. The 75% provoke is good. I'm not saying that he has to be ML Cecilia. Plus he removes 4 souls every time he does it. So I think that in and of itself is very strong. The debuffs on the S3 is still good. Don't get me wrong, guys. It's still good. But I really do want to see his damage mods, because I think his passive is gonna be kind of like a... it's almost like if you're gonna use him, you're not gonna really be using it for the passive. I would almost just build him as what's it called, like how you would any other bruiser, most likely. Like even put him on immunity. I would say the only benefit for his S2 from my point of view would be facing SSB teams that just rapidly like spam S2 at you, and you can maybe cleanse off that defense break. That's like a really nice to have. But in that case, I would just say that you're bringing in Tywin there not to dispel the debuffs, but you're bringing him in there to do everything else, like steal souls or provoke, or even put the unhealable on a certain fight. And then the S2 is kind of like a nice addition to his kit. In that sense, I would say that I would accept him a lot better, but I'm more excited about seeing him as a damage dealer, because I'm really having a really good time using ML Cecilia as a damage dealer, and Tywin, if he can be as strong as ML Cecilia in terms of damage, or even better, hopefully better, I would definitely use him. I would actually use him just straight up just as a tank, and he does, it's not like he's terrible, it's just that compared to ML Cecilia, I think ML Cecilia would take my mystics if I didn't already have her. Anyways, I'm gonna end this in terms of the video and my thoughts on this. So hopefully that's been helpful, and just to get some more ideas. And definitely for the video recording sake, you know, if you guys have any thoughts on what I said, or have any ideas, brilliant ideas, big brain plays, definitely leave in a comment below. Definitely would like to read it, because it could change my thoughts on ML Tywin. Maybe I'm seeing something that I'm not, but not seeing something that's obvious, but you know, I often miss out on stuff anyway. So I'm gonna end this here. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.